Excel is a spreadsheet program that's designed to allow you to manage and manipulate large amounts of information, particularly numeric values. It's a good program to use for accounting purposes, for managing financials, and also for maintaining lists of information, perhaps inventory lists or price lists, but there are numerous uses for this product. Now, to get you acquainted with the interface or the screen as you see it when you open up the program, we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the features, the visual features that you have. Now, one thing that's important and helpful to know is the fact that Excel was designed to bring those features that are used most frequently to the top of the screen so they're easily accessible. In other words, to the far left, if we go to the top of the screen, you have this orb or the Microsoft Office button. If I click that button, I'll see that I have options that I'll most frequently need to use. I have options to open up a new spreadsheet, or perhaps open up a spreadsheet from a template, open an existing file. I can save the spreadsheet that I've been working on. I can save it as, and notice that there are a series of different output types of which you can save your file to. Here's your print option and additional print options. You have additional preparation options for checking your document or adding a digital signature, inspecting, taking a look at the properties. You have the option here to send via email or to convert to PDF and send as a PDF document. There are publishing options and additional options here, as well as the option to exit the program. Now we also have a series of tabs across the screen, starting with the Home tab, Insert, Page Layout, Formulas, Data, Review, View, and Add-ins. Now these tabs are designed with the user in mind in terms of what you'll need most frequently, starting at the left side of the screen with the Home tab. Now the Home tab, you'll see under any of these tabs, in fact, groups of related icons. And as I hover over these icons, I'll get a little helpful tip that might show me what that particular icon will do if I were to click on it. It might also give me a shortcut. For example, to cut information out of your spreadsheet, Control X. Here's the copy command, Control C. We'll get more into shortcuts in another video segment later on. I'll also see that in the clipboard group that there's a little arrow at the bottom right hand corner. And if I were to click on that, that opens up this little clipboard task pane that would give me additional options. I'm going to click the X here and close that for now. Now the next group of icons are your font icons, which allow you to change the attributes of the fonts or the words, the letters that you use within the cells of your spreadsheet. Starting out with your font theme, you have your font size, you have options to increase or decrease your font size by clicking on the corresponding icons. You have icons to bold, italicize, underline, and most of these have keyboard shortcuts as well if you would like to commit those shortcuts to memory. You have the option to create borders around your cells, and if you have see those icons that have little drop down arrows beside them, they will expand out to give you additional options to select from. You have options to create a fill color, and here I have all these different colors, and you'll see in many opportunities you'll have here in Excel that when you have a selection of options, you can hover over the option and actually see the results of that option before you even commit to it. Right now you see how I'm hovering over the different cell fill colors, and you see the corresponding selected cell in my spreadsheet is changing colors. If I were to commit to a color by clicking on it, that cell would then contain that fill color that I've selected. We also have the option for font colors. The current color is displayed on the icon itself. The drop down arrow to the right of that icon gives you a list of colors here for the font, as similar to we just did for the fill color of the cell. Now the font group of icons also has a little drop down arrow at the bottom right. And if I were to click on that, I will then have this dialog box with all of the traditional options you have for formatting cells. The number or date formatting, different ways of aligning the contents of your cells, your font attributes, your border settings and selections, your fill options, and cell protection options. And we'll delve into all of these different features more in detail in subsequent videos. Then you have the alignment group of icons, which allow you to set your preferences for aligning your text as it appears within the cells, your justification icons, your indents and your outdents, and so on. Your merge and center, a very helpful icon here, and we'll show you how that works in a future video as well. The alignment group has a little drop down arrow. If I select there, it will take me to the alignment tab of the Format Cells dialog, where I can make my alignment options. Now, because Excel spreadsheets contain lots of numeric data, financial data, numbers, you have the number group here, where you have a drop-down option for different types of formatting, whether it's numeric, currency, accounting, a form of a date or time, percentages, fractions, down to scientific notation and so forth. And here you have little icons that allow you to change the currency type. If I click the little drop down, I'll see I can change to foreign, the currency of foreign nations, and I have the option for more formats. Percentage options, if you like to have your comma style, how you like your commas to appear within your numbers. Then you have the option for increasing or decreasing the decimal places. The number group of icons has its own little drop down, leads you to the dialog box for Format Cells, and it takes you directly to that number tab. Alright, here we have different styles options, conditional formatting, the option to format your spreadsheet as a table, and it gives you a whole abundance of different options. And we'll cover these more in detail later on. Alright, you have a little group of option here for cells, whether you want to insert, and you also have your editing options here to include the auto sum and its associated options. You have your fill options, and we'll talk about these features in a separate video. You have your clear options, some very handy sorting and filtering options, as well as find and select options. Now, everything we've covered so far exists solely on that Home tab. Note that we also have the additional tabs, and we'll go ahead and take a look at the Insert tab now. Notice when I click the Insert tab, a whole new set of icon groups appear associated with inserting different types of objects. Now, there's a certain logic here, and if you're working on a spreadsheet and you'd like to add or include something in the spreadsheet, you might want to go to your Insert tab and find what it is that you'd like to insert and make a part of that spreadsheet. We have here in the Tables category a pivot table as well as a standard table. You have the option Insert a Picture, and that will allow you to browse your computer and locate that picture file that you'd like to insert. There are also clip art options, and to give you a quick glimpse of that, if I click there, I then get this clip art panel that appears on the right side. I can then type in my topic and hit go, and then I will see a whole list of options in terms of pictures that feature the type of clip art object I'd like to insert. We'll take a look at inserting images and clip art in a later video segment. All right, we have the option Insert Shapes, and if I were to click on this icon, it drops down and gives me a whole collection of different types of shapes that can be used, for example, perhaps for flowcharting purposes. I have different line types and arrow types, rectangles, all these basic shapes. Here I have all kinds of block arrows. There are equation shapes. Here are more flowcharting shapes. There are banners and callouts to use as well. Also, there's a Smart Art category, which is pretty helpful, and it gives you a whole collection of different types of graphics that demonstrate relationships or flows, workflows, process flows, and we'll get more into this in a later segment as well. Just showing you from a very high level some of the features you have here under the different menus. Excel is a very powerful program for charting, and here we have the Charts category of icons with all different chart types, from column to line, pie chart, bar chart, area chart, scatter chart. You have other charts, you have combination charts. There's a broad gamut of different types of charts you can choose from. Hyperlinks. You can create hyperlinks to text or to images from within your Excel file. Other items you might want to insert under this text category. You might want to insert a text box and have it float over your spreadsheet. Header and footer options. You can insert word art, a signature line, other objects you can include, as well as symbols. Now we have our page layout menu. Under the page layout menu, you have different themes you can apply to your spreadsheet. And as you hover over them, I'm seeing some minute changes take place to my spreadsheet, particularly with regards to the column and rows, the headers or the letters and numbers of the alphabet. But if I had some data, you'd see additional changes to the look and appearance of the theme of your spreadsheet. That is another topic here that will be among our training video collection. You have options for different colors here. You also have different font options and different effects. Now, in the page setup category here, this is a very helpful selection of icons here. You can adjust your margins. You can adjust your page orientation from portrait, which is vertically oriented, to landscape, which is horizontally oriented. Your page size. You can set a print area for your spreadsheet. You can adjust your page breaks, where your page breaks will appear. You can select a image or a design for your background, as well as print titles, because when you print and you have multiple pages, you might want to have those header rows appear across all your printed pages. Notice in the page setup group of icons, we have this little drop down arrow which takes us to the page setup dialog, and that takes us directly to the page tab. Here we have our orientation options, as I mentioned before, and our different output adjustment settings. We'll deal more with printing and the specifics around printing your spreadsheet, preparing it for printing, in a later video segment. Okay, we also have the scale to fit category here. You have options for grid lines, for headings, and a different group of icons for arranging. And this typically applies if you have an image or a graphic. If you want to bring it to the foreground, send it to the background. If you want to group your objects, if you want to rotate or align your objects, those are among the options you have in your Arrange tab. And I know I haven't mentioned this before, but a lot of these menus are context sensitive, and they may change based on what you're currently doing at the time. You'll notice some menus will be unavailable to you or grayed out, as I have several items right here are not available to me right now. That's because I have not yet performed the task in my spreadsheet that would enable me to use those features or those options. Alright, our next tab, our fourth tab here, is formulas. A lot of what you're going to be doing in Excel will involve calculations or using formulas. There are simple formulas, there are logical formulas, and there are relatively and extremely complex formulas. We'll be dealing with some of the more simple ones in other videos that we have coming up. Excel includes a whole series of functions, and here we have different function categories. From most recently used, categories such as financial, date and time, math and trigonometric, statistical, lookup functions, database functions, text functions, logical functions, and so on. You select your category, then you'll have a list of available functions. Now don't worry about some of these here, because when I click on them and you see a description, some of these are very deeply ingrained in mathematical, scientific, and financial communities. But all of the Excel functions exist under one of the categories here. Alright, we'll be talking more about your AutoSum. Here you have an option for recently used functions. And here they're categorized as well: financial, logical, text, date and time, lookup and reference, math and trigonometric, and more functions.